now sitting at 0-3. The New York Jets have officially entered desperation mode. Monday night against the likewise 0-3 Miami Dolphins interdivision matchup. This is going to be the measuring stick, Jets fans. We'll see where we're at. I'm fired up to get into it. My guy, Malcolm Flex, is joining me on the other side. Let's go.
Bring that here, all right? Go up there and press him and choke him out.
What's going on, Jets fans? It's your boy DT back with another live stream. This has been a tough week. 0-3 for the New York Jets. I was in attendance in Tampa Bay. So first and foremost, I want to shout out to every single person that I met down there. The list of names is just incredibly long. I certainly forgot some due to the amount of jet fuels that I drank at the meetup at gas bars. So shout out to every single person, all of the kind words that everybody said to me. I remember the kind words. I might not remember your name, but I certainly remember the kind words. You guys are incredible. And shout out to Jake for putting on a great show. Him and Fezda at gas bars was an incredible time. And to do a little bit of a celebration tonight, I hit the milestone, 1,000 subs. We made it a couple weeks later than I was anticipating. I was hoping to get it before the season, but I blame the Jets and their lack of wins for that one, but we made it to 1,000. So I officially want to, thank everybody for becoming a subscriber of this channel. If you are a member of the A1 since day one community and you paid the $5 to get the exclusive film breakdowns that I put out, college quarterbacks and the week one offense, I certainly appreciate that too. So in honor of hitting 1,000 subscribers, we are going to do a giveaway tonight. We're going to raffle off a couple of DT t-shirts for those of you guys in the chat. So how we're going to do it. And I see you, Steven, already. How it's going to work. And I'm going to kind of do it on the fly. So I appreciate everybody's patience with this. Is every super chat dollar or gifted membership that equates to $1 is going to be one raffle entry to get a t-shirt at the end of the night. And we will do at least 2 or 3 of those. So I certainly appreciate everybody for tuning in. And then for the A1 since day one members, I will do a raffle for the first 50 exclusive members. We will do at least 2 raffles. That'll probably be a members only video that comes out for you guys tomorrow. So I certainly appreciate that. And before we bring on our guest, Malcolm Flex, Steven says, $4.99 super chat. He says, congrats on 1K. 2K is a blink away. Great film breakdown and commentary. You keep it real. We appreciate you. Steven, thank you so much. I hope 2K, we get there just as fast as we did 1K. So I think we're still within the first 6 months of my channel. So I'm super, grateful for everybody's participation in this community. And you have earned yourself 5 raffle entries to earn yourself a DT t-shirt at the end of the show. So I certainly appreciate it. And in the theme of great breakdowns and commentary, we have our guest of the night, my guy, Malcolm Flex. We'll bring him on now, and we are going to break down just what is wrong with this Jets defense and see if we can turn it around heading down into Miami. So we'll bring him on now. Malcolm Flex, what's up, man? I appreciate you hopping on.
Hey, appreciate you for having me on, Dylan. It's been a long road for Jets fans. And so, I was debating on whether I should come in with a paper bag over my face, but, I think people it's too early to bring out a paper bag. I think that people would recognize me anyways just by the physique, but, thought about it.
Yeah, absolutely. You're a little hard to disguise, much like Steve Wilkes' defenses. And I know the first question we're going to get in the chat is, can you play linebacker in the wake of Quincy Williams and Marcelino McCrary Ball being out? So what do you got left in the tank as far as playing? You got it in you? One game?
Well, I got a bad knee, unfortunately, for my playing career, but I hear it's actually possible. Pittsburgh got Peyton Wilson. He has no ACL. Mine is reconstructed. So maybe I can, but that's actually one of my biggest gripes with our defense is just how undersized our linebacker, how undersized our linebacking core is. I'm 6'5", but I did play off-ball linebacker and tight end. And so, for me, I like looking at tall, rangy linebackers. I love the new age linebacker, and we just don't have Sherwood's a safety. He's a converted safety. And, it's not saying much when you look at his coverage, but in some of these plays that we're going to break down. But yeah, there's a lot of work to be done.
Yeah. So before we actually pull up the all-22 of the Jets' final drive where they had a chance to do what felt like the impossible at the time and upset the Bucs, what are your thoughts overall on this Steve Wilks defense and exactly what you've seen through 3 weeks?
Yeah. So Steve Wilks, I mean, when you look at him, he's an old timer. And I don't just mean that just because, he's kind of an old gray beard in the coaching booth, but I mean, he's an old timer insofar as the way he wants to play the ball is he wants to line up in a 4-3, rush 4, get there, maybe bring one on a blitz occasionally, no window dressing, no nothing. And now the problem is when he was in Carolina, that could work. Carolina had a nasty defense. I know we talk about their offensive woes, which is hilarious considering they had both Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield and Cam Newton at some point. But, it's just funny because when you look at how Steve Wilks had his personnel set up, he had Frankie Louvu, an athletic, get-after linebacker that can make tackles. He had Derek Brown, who is probably, again, him and Quentin Williams are, kind of tit for tat on that, but Derek Brown, a disruptive defensive lineman. Then he also had Brian Burns off the edge, again, comparable to, kind of what we got with Will McDonald. I'd say more Will McDonald than Jermaine Johnson just because, just sort of the build. But then in the secondary, he had, I think they got their cornerback that they had drafted early. But then in the secondary, you look, he had Jeremy Chin, a do-it-all, 6'3" monster hybrid freak of a safety that can make tackles, unlike the Jets defense.
Mm-hmm.
You can play vanilla. You can play a 4-3 when you have personnel like that. The Jets, they don't have that personnel yet. They're still young. A lot of our guys still are not gelling. And then, you got the Tony Adams, Andre Cisco debacle right now. And then you got Brendan Stevens, which, again, we can talk about what to do with him. But, his natural position is a safety. He plays corner like a safety. I just don't think that, Steve Wilks can do what he wants to do and be successful here with the Jets yet. He's going to have to either open up a book on, modern defensive concepts. Let's start getting a little bit more modern because the vanilla defense is just getting beat. Like Josh Allen, even though he didn't have his best game, and that's partially because of the man coverage and, sort of all of their wide receivers on the statistical curve being pretty similar. But, Josh Allen was unbothered. The run is where we got destroyed at, and we've been getting destroyed as the run is partially because, again, there is no movement, even up front. Like the offensive line, they have their assignments. They can key in on them. There's no deception. There's no mis-blocking assignments, none of that. And so you're running a wide zone offense. You shouldn't know who you're going to get, but they do, and it's a problem.
Yeah. So real quick, one gifted membership to the A1 Since Day One community from our girl, Leanie. I appreciate you so much, Leanie. That membership was gifted to Junio Rudy. So welcome, Junio, to the A1 Since Day One community. And Stephen Fox, first with the super chat, now becomes a member of the A1 Since Day One community himself. You guys are all in the raffle for the exclusive t-shirt giveaway that we will do at some point tomorrow. And I guess to follow up on that was you're talking about the quarterbacks we're going up against and being vanilla. It felt like Aaron Rodgers obviously is a very intellectual quarterback. Josh Allen has become one of the best, obviously an MVP, reigning MVP in the league. So he can clearly diagnose defenses pre-snap. And then you have Baker Mayfield, who even if you do disguise and you get him, he's going to beat you at his own game, which is being an improviser in the pocket. He's going to break those tackles, get out, and look to scramble. So I felt like when I watched the All-22, we saw a little bit more disguising from Steve Wilks, but are they just not comfortable, do you think, from a player execution perspective with the disguising enough? Or do you think this is more of like the coaching point, just saying, hey, we're going to come out pre-snap, show them one high, and then we're going to just come out and cover 3 anyway?
When I look at the defensive film, a lot of what I'm seeing are guys that are a little bit in their heads. And I mean, they're just too in their heads. Number one, because you've got a lot of missed assignments. You've got a lot of failed pass offs. You've got a lot of situations where guys are still, after the ball's been snapped, trying to figure out what they're trying to do. But then that also translates to poor fundamentals. Let's not even get into Michael Clemens, getting walled out by a tight end. Like, absolute, it's just poor fundamentals. And the issue with that is that if you're not going to understand your assignment, like, the least you can do is take good angles, be where you need to be, keep your leverage, and actually get pursuit to the ball. A lot of where we got beat on that, on that last drive, and I'm talking about just with a quarterback scrambled by Baker freaking Mayfield. Like, I know we talk about how he's an improviser, but like, he's not a good runner. So I just see poor angles. And when you have poor angles such as that, you have guys that are playing slow, that are not getting to their spots. And then we're talking about guys just spot dropping. Like, yeah, they're disguising very well, but they're spot dropping. That quarterback, all it takes is, depending on who you're playing, and we've played nothing but high IQ, very, fast mentally, mental processing quarterbacks. It only takes a half a second to realize, oh, hey, he's going back into that deep third. Okay, that's correct. That's cover 3. Oh, never mind. They're going right there. And, you've got an outside leverage corner that's sitting kind of high, and he's going right there, and they're just moving back there. Like, there's no disguise. And it's not just in the scheme, but it's also in the execution of the scheme. So it's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. Like, guys are just kind of running it very, they're running a vanilla scheme in the most vanilla of ways. And that just indicates that they're still young, which, newsflash, this is probably one of the youngest rosters in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always I give this advice to my friends in real life, and it's don't compound a bad mistake with another bad mistake. And I feel like when I watch the defense, it's kind of what you're saying. They're not, doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing, and then they get caught up in, dead space, and they're just kind of looking lost. And then they go do something else, and it actually makes the play worse than if they were to just try to, relax, take not a second, but you know what I mean? Like, react differently, stay home in their zone, and potentially not let up these big plays. So it looks like on the film, it is a little bit of execution. Obviously 19 missed tackles against the Bucs is inexcusable. But I did want to, like, after giving Wilkes so much grief the first 2 weeks of being so vanilla, cover 1, cover 0 in the, the third down high leverage situations that I feel like a lot of Jets fans keep talking about. It's like, okay, now we saw a little bit more adjusting from rotating to 2 high, cover 2, cover 4. I even saw some Tampa 2 in there. So I do like the variations, and I don't want to kill Wilkes, but it seems like when the coaching is there, the execution's probably not. And when the execution's there, it's in such a vanilla way that it's so easily diagnosed pre-snap that these quarterbacks are smart. Like, we can do everything right on a play from a coaching point perspective and still get out-schemed and out-coached from the other side. So that's kind of why you love football, but kind of why you hate football at the same time, because we haven't seen the pieces in place to be like, okay, when they do this and they bring, 8 men in the box, like the Bills, we can just quick pass out to Alan Lazard on a now screen and just mitigate the entire cornerback blitz every time we go under center. So with that, we will hop in to the all-22 film. This is the New York Jets' final drive after Will McDonald's most incredible individual performance that is going to get lost in the archives due to the fact that the Jets couldn't pull out this win. What I'm going to do is I'll play through each video and you just kind of talk it through, and then we'll go back and we'll play it a little slower and break it down for everybody.
All right. So let's focus. We're probably going to focus secondary. I don't think we can get too much from the pass rush at the moment.
Right. And this is a 3-play drive for the folks at home. It took them 3 plays to essentially get into field goal range and start running the ball and icing the ball. So we'll play it through, but it's only 3 clips, but that's the nature of the NFL these days. You start the ball at the 34, 35 yard line. You got to go less than 25 yards to give your kicker a 60-yard attempt at a field goal, which nowadays is a chip shot. So this is the first clip. We'll break it down as we go.
Yeah. So right now you're sitting up here. Let's look. Okay. So corners are kind of backing off. You already see right there. Ooh, yeah. Cover 3. Yeah. One of the guys, he buzzes down. I don't like it, man. I just don't like it. Oh God, your
So
safety on that top
we're looking
hash.
at Cisco and Malachi Moore up here at the 45-yard line.
Mhm.
That's where my
Yeah.
eyes went immediately.
Yep. They're sitting real high. Like I said, it looks like 4. Then what you see is Cisco. He actually goes down. So he settles right there. That could actually be
Yep.
constructed. Yeah, so he settles down right there on his man, kind of taking away that underneath.
Mhm.
Problem is, now we go to Malachi Moore, and this is something that you pointed out when we joined. You know, you look right here. You know, you got that point, that pass off right in between Igbuka and can't tell. I got bad eyes, man.
Yeah, I don't know who number 15 is. I'll be honest.
Yeah, but you see sort of the pass off between the corner
Yep.
and Malachi Moore, right? But what you want to see is that route running. He's so he looks like he's going to the middle. So Malachi Moore knows, okay, I'm gonna sit the outside. But then what happens is you see a last second hip wiggle right there at about 20. Malachi Moore walls his hips off and then he cuts under him. Inside leverage, gave up the post right there. It's that quick. That's the difference in route running right there.
Yep.
So look,
right there.
He stems it up.
Yep.
So it's neutral. You don't know where he's going. He's not breaking. It looks like he's just going to go straight. It looks like he's just going to go ahead and declare straight, right?
Mhm.
So now you've got Malachi Moore committing his hips and his motion to basically carry him up that seam on the outside version of the seam, on the outside of the hashes. You've got him committing because now he's flowing to him rather than staying square and trusting his feet. Now, right there, you're going to see a cut. And because he's still sort of in between the corner, you know, there's kind of there's a little bit of ambiguity on that point and pass off because now you got his side. Because again, Malachi Moore could think if he just keeps going straight, okay, cool, we're going to bracket this. I've got
Mhm.
I've got corner help, so I can play a little bit more aggressively. But then last second, nope. Right there. And now what you want to look at too, going near Baker, and this is a funny thing, before Baker even passed, and I know this is happening in a split second, he's actually got this underneath dump off right here as well. Because look, where's the coverage at? Where's the coverage at underneath?
Yeah, you're saying the tight end is open right now if he wants it.
Yes, easily. Yep. Or the back. Look at the back.
Oh yeah, yep.
The back is right there. You've got this wad of linebackers.
Sherwood would have to make up all this ground to cover the back coming out of the backfield
and tackle in space. So really, this play is cooked. Like either way, either way you want it, you've got a first down in a situation where your job is to basically get off the field to prevent that first down because like you're trying to hold on to a lead. So this is blown. And I just don't like the coverage here, but you see, and then so look, when he gets caught on the inside, the problem is, and you can always tell when a safety or corner gets beat, you see them do what's called a speed turn. So a lot of people think, a lot of people think that if they see a DB turn his back to receiver, oh, that's it, and that's it. You know, like that's bad fundamentals. No, they actually teach that. That's called a speed turn. What it's meant to do is to quickly use your momentum and snap yourself back into phase. Problem is, he's already gone. You know, like that, he committed too hard. So even that speed turn wouldn't have saved him. Now, this is a rookie we're talking about. It's Malachi Moore. Literally just called up to play. And I think that was for what? Tony Adams?
Yep.
He's called up to play for Tony Adams. You can't kill a rookie over this. Like, I know we just said this team is young. Like, even the starters are young. Now you're throwing a rookie into the mix. I think with some practice, Malachi Moore, he's going to look back at the situation and he's going to think, okay, yeah, let me just keep my hip square because it's fixable. You know, that play right there is fixable, but that's a warning shot. That's a shot across the bow right there. Like if I'm looking at that, my heart is pounding because if Baker Mayfield does not overthrow that, 88 out the gate. That's it. You know, game's over. Go home.
They could have wrapped the game up right there, and then the Jets would have been struggling on offense to get it right back. And I actually wonder if like that pass was complete, would he have gone down and tried to do like a ice the game situation and still try to kick a field goal? Which I know people were on Will McDonald about not going down and doing the exact same thing. So before we get into the film, again, Junio Rudy with a $5 super chat. He says, "Do you think Michael Carter II is a fit in Wilk's system? Seeing the Brownlee trade makes me question MC2's future on this team. Malcolm, what are your thoughts about it? And then I'll give my take on Jarvis Brownlee.
Honestly, I mean, we haven't seen the real Michael Carter II. Even, he hasn't quite been 100%. And so I'm not 110% sure that I can say, yeah, Jarvis Brownlee's just going to automatically come in and take it. Now, he does fit a prototypical nickel, but then again, you've also got another guy that can play the nickel spot in Malachi Moore. Like I said, you can literally move Malachi Moore down and have him play the nickel like a star. And that might actually be the next iteration of this defense. Really getting somebody like Jarvis Brownlee, what this allows you to do is something that I think we're really going to need to end up doing against Miami, which is running sort of a simulated dime. And, spoiler alert, I am the evangelist of the dime defense. Okay. I know.
I was preaching it too. I was preaching it too this summer.
Yeah. And it's, it's a new innovation. Don't get me wrong. I mean, dime's been around forever, but running the dime predominantly, I think that can fix a lot of issues that you have mid-season where, you've got coverage busts. Like, what's the only way to mitigate coverage busts and a thin linebacker core like we got? Bring in some more DBs that can tackle. So even if Michael Carter II is kind of going to see a reduced snap, now you've got guys that can kind of play around the box, that can kind of fill in that spot. I think it just adds a little bit more versatility. It also does give them a little bit of leverage too in, contract negotiations, but I don't think that we're necessarily there yet. But, I'm going to be interested to see how they necessarily deploy Jarvis Brownlee, because if you play him inside, okay, now you can start doing a little bit more personnel package, switching up and, play a very diverse defensive scheme, contrasting what we've got right now with this weird 4-2, 4-3 that we're trying to play. And it's just, I think that right there might unlock a little bit with Steve Wilks, but also Steve Wilks he's still going to have to coach up the young guys. And that's the problem, is that I think he relates better to the old guys. And, Michael Carter is a little bit old. He's a little bit older. So I think that he might like that, because he, all his defenses, he's had veteran defenses, and trying to relate, when you're so used to talking to veterans and you're like, oh yeah, okay, so we're going to run Mabel here, you guys are going to banter over here, when you can just throw terminology around like that and not have to worry because you've got guys that have seen it all and done it all, it's a lot easier. When you got young guys like we have in this team, and, it's like everybody from Jermaine Johnson to Will McDonald to Michael Clement, like all these guys are young. Even Sherwood, even though he's a little bit older, shout out to Auburn, but he's still a young guy. Like, he's young in the game. And
so a lot of these guys are still raw for sure.
Yeah. So now you're bringing in another young buck. So you still got same issue still exists. Brownlee, he's young and he's a little bit more fiery and hot-headed apparently. So, good luck.
My take on Brownlee is really that you are probably trying to deploy a committee approach at nickel, and you've realized that running your base 4-3 packages are not quite working for you, because our third linebacker was always in question coming into the season, and now your third linebacker is now vaulted into your second linebacker position next to Sherwood with the injury to Quincy. And obviously McCrary Ball has gotten a ton of run with the defense. I know he's the special teams captain, and he's kind of been a liability as well. So you're really down your second and third, or first and third linebacker, however you want to look at the depth chart, with Jamie and Sherwood in the middle of those guys. And now you have to fill in with guys off the street. I know Mark Robinson was brought in from the Patriots practice squad. They brought Neiman onto their own practice squad, who has time with AG. But I still think you got to live in nickel or big nickel or dime. You have to use your versatility on your back end. That's something I was preaching earlier on in this summer, was this DB room is probably our strongest position group. And I've been completely wrong on that so far through 3 games. They've looked super weak, but there's still versatility in how you can deploy these guys. Malachi Moore, when Tony Adams is healthy, he can come down into the box and be that pseudo sub linebacker or whatever you want on those passing downs and give you more speed. And obviously, you might have to take away some of the toughness and physicality, but if you have the right guys, and I think the messaging about Brownlee was he's a tough, physical, downhill tackler, and that is our brand of football. So I feel like they're while they're getting smaller, they're still getting tougher. And Quincy Williams was the screen buster, in my opinion, of this defense. So Jarvis Brownlee could give you that as the overhang guy, diagnosing a screen and crashing downhill and making a tackle. So there's a lot of ways that they can do it, and I think they have a plan. They certainly said they have a plan for him once he's healthy, but we'll have to see on Brownlee. But I'm intrigued. I don't think it's more of an indictment on Brandon Stevens or Sauce getting hurt or anything like that.
Yeah, but now something that we do have to also talk about, and just to go back to that super chat, is that Quincy Williams, he was green dotted for all these games. He's out. So now green dot goes back to Sherwood. And now you've got new guys in here, and Sherwood's now going to have to be the communicator for the defense. So what's Jamie Sherwood, how is his leadership? How's his command of a new defensive scheme? Can he talk new guys through? Can he get the new guys lined up? That's going to be the X factor, especially since we're bringing in new pieces. Azaria Thomas, he might get a lot of play time here now. And, you're going to be seeing a lot more Malachi Moore. And can Sherwood even handle a third defensive back that's raw and new to the scheme?
Right. Yeah. Getting all these guys is going to be, lined up and in position to make the play is going to be tough on Sherwood. I believe he was the green dot last year with the old regime, but obviously with the new scheme coming in, new coaching points, new, even new verbiage, it's going to be hard to get everybody on the same page. So that is a really good call out by you, because I hadn't even taken note of who was the green dot. I had just assumed that it was still Sherwood from last year. So I didn't realize it was Quincy Williams who was wearing the green dot. So that's huge. And I've always said, eventually I think Malachi Moore will get the green dot, because I just didn't trust any of the linebackers really to do it. And I obviously don't trust Malachi yet, but I feel like Brian Branch, somebody more of that ilk, is what AG is going to lean towards with the green dot responsibilities.
And here's going to be another X factor with that. And this is, like I said, this is the game within the game. So again, I don't do much football now. I do, like I said, I'm a mixed martial artist, so I do a lot of Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And, you have the game, what you're playing, which is a lot of the grappling, but then you have the game within the game, defeating people's post hands and leverage and all of that. Well, this is a game within the game, because when we look at, and I'm sorry I didn't get this chart to you earlier, but there's a chart on offensive play volume. The Dolphins are right up there in terms of seconds elapsed between plays. The Saints lead the pack with about 17 seconds in between their plays and the highest play volume. Dolphins,
like,
of course,
slow tempo offense is what you're saying.
Yes. Dolphins are a very fast tempo offense. They're right up there with the Ravens. Jets are kind of right in the middle line of demarcation. Of course, their play volume is a little bit down, but they're kind of in middle speed. They're closer to the Kansas City and the Vikings. Dolphins, they're a fast-paced offense. So now you've got new guys, young guys. You've got a new captain of your defense. And you're going to have him out there against McDonald, who, number one, very fast window dressing guy. He loves his motions. He loves getting the ball out to his hands quickly. He loves just doing that, resetting. Granted, they're not the best at, they're not really the best at it, but they got speed. The speed of this game is going to be dramatically different from what they've played.
Yeah, no, that's certainly fair. And I feel like that's exactly how they built their offense. Is they wanted track stars on the boundary and get it out to them really quickly, mitigate the offensive line and the protection issues. But I feel like they've sacrificed a little too much into the offensive line to get those track stars on the boundary. So the Jets need to take advantage. And as we get into these next two plays, I have a talking point that I think will help with the Jets against the Dolphins. But we're back into the film room now with our guy, Malcolm Flex. Hit the like button, subscribe if you are new. I certainly appreciate everybody tuning in. I see about 60 of us in the room. This is the very next play. So we just watched the incompletion after the coverage bust. They come out 3-by-1, motion the tight end across. We have now I see 7 men up at the line of scrimmage. So you're assuming man-to-man coverage is what you're going to get post-snap, but that's not always the case. But right now, 2 linebackers walked up, and Michael Carter, although he's probably pressing the slot, he's more looking like he's got a key in on the quarterback right now, like he's going to blitz. So we'll play it through, and then we'll get your thoughts.
Yep. So single high, they're kind of bailing a little bit. They're bailing. Okay, now there you go. They bail to a 2D, but look at that, man. Look. what even, like, what can I say about that right now? You know, again, you've got your single high guy. He creeps a little. Number one,
Cisco.
yeah. So he creeps, he bails, he covers, and
They get to it too high, so they're basically saying,
yeah.
Malachi Moore's covering this half, Cisco's
Mhm.
covering this half, and then the route concept, it looks like a post from the number one, and then an out route from the number 2, the tight end, and they pass it off, but there's just too much separation.
They got that sale, and then again, you had Malachi. Here's the problem: you had Malachi Moore beat inside.
Yep, and they do a good job of bailing out. Although I will say, like you talked about earlier, Jamie and Sherwood bailed out and looked completely lost. He looked at his right.
There's nobody. He's covering grass.
Yeah, you see Jamie and Sherwood just standing there, not sure what to do. Then it looks like he wants to turn and run with that number 2 receiver.
I would rather him.
You would rather him just grab onto somebody and go. And like if he vacates the area, he vacates the area, right?
Yeah, because they've got the back end to block. That's the thing. They had and it was kind of. I can understand he's waiting on maybe a possible check release, but at that point he's already picking up the blitz. There's no way
he's engaged with McCreary ball right here for sure.
Exactly. He's not disengaging.
And then you see Malachi Moore. It looks like he's trying to pass it off to Jamie and Sherwood, or like he just gets flat-footed right there at the bottom of the Bucs helmet, and he's like, "Okay, Sherwood's picking him up. I'm not going to go with him." You see him make like a half gallop, and then he stops.
Yeah, like literally, Baker has it, and I mean, granted, the ball's out, but Baker really does have his pick of the litter. If he wants to hold that ball a little bit, there's no way Malachi Moore's catching up right there on the inside. So again, 2 plays where this game could have already been over. Thankfully, he throws the corner. And, badass Baker, he's just going to throw the corner against Cisco. And it's just like, okay. But that's just a good play. That's honestly just a good play on that corner route because, Cisco's got it covered up.
Yeah.
But,
and like you said, it was pick your poison. The Jets were kind of screwed on both these routes that I just drew up here. And look at this is before Baker. He's at the back of his drop. He's taking a hitch, getting a reset to throw. And, even the tight end, if they wanted to just play – clock control and get down and get out of bounds and stop the clock, they could just throw
tight end's already got him beat. Yeah, he's already got him beat on that out.
And if I'm not mistaken, this is Will McDonald.
Yeah. Look
at Quinnen Williams here rushing off the left tackle. This is Quinnen. This looks like one of your linebackers, McCreary ball.
Lots of fire.
And then you have you have Carter coming off the slot.
Yep, lots of fire zone. And that's a Steve Wilks feature. Unfortunately, that's old-fashioned Wilks. He loves doing that, but that's actually goes back into a problem Miami has as well. But let it run, just to see how screwed we are there. Like, you're right. Malachi Moore is trying to pass it, but it's like I'm wondering, like, who is he passing it?
He's passing it to grass. Yeah.
It's like giving him a clear runway, like go. That's just young. Like that's a young guy getting thrown in to a scheme. So nothing we can take away there.
And now this play, in real time, I said this was a catch. Yeah. What were your thoughts on the Emeka Egbuka bobble against AZ Thomas on the sideline? Because I'll play it through as you give your thoughts about whether you thought it was a catch or not real time. We're looking down at the bottom. Emeka Egbuka on AZ Thomas. Looks like press cover 1 across the board.
Yep. That's a favorite of ours, 20%. Yeah. It falls squarely in his hands. Honestly, that would be a catch if I were to make a speed judgment on that. Because, it falls squarely in his hands and he drags his feet. Like, hallmark. So if that's not a catch, I don't know what we're calling a catch. But what is a catch these days?
The hardest question in football to answer, I believe, is what a catch. What is a catch?
I know.
And then you look at the top of the screen too. I know it's cover 1 man to man. They run the perfect little rub concept, and they get the tight end, the number 2 at the top. They get him wide open because Cisco runs right into the back of Stevens. So we'll look at the top real quick. 2 over 2.
Yeah, look, boom, right there, perfectly. 2 guys into each other, easy money there. But
it's just crazy because like we talked about it, and it's like, how do the Jets get put into the best positions to win? And sometimes they are put in the best positions to win. I'm not saying specifically on this drive. And then the other team just says, yeah, it doesn't matter. We'll outcoach you and we'll adjust to your adjustment. And you get things like this.
Yeah. And that's the part. That's kind of the hard part about this. And it's like then your safety, I get it. It's cover one. So you want him far back. But good Lord, man, he's got the best seats like right now. He's just got the best seats in the house. Like,
all right, from the line of scrimmage, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. This is Greg Williams-esque safety play. Like when you say angel safety, this dude is literally in heaven on this play.
Cover one. Like I get it. I get it. It's man-to-man coverage. And yes, you want your safety to be able to be back there.
You also want him like right here.
Yes, like pull
so that he can get over here and have that range sideline to side. Look how much, even if the ball lands right here, which I think it kind of does. This is so much room.
How do you even get it? Yes. How do you even get a takeaway? Like, yeah,
you're not even close. Here, we'll play it through and we'll show you how close Malachi Moore was to the ball on the time of the catch, because he was nowhere near making a play. Where's Malachi Moore going to make a play 10 yards away from the catch point?
He's going to stop him just short enough to where we get a painful little like goal line stand situation. That's it. If he even tackled him, but Malachi Moore is a decent tackler, so I mean I feel 100%. Like he would.
He would probably make the play, but it's just like, why are you putting him in that position when he could just be less deep into the and have less of a room to run to the throw?
But you know what that is though? And this is the thing. This is where the whole boxing analogy comes in. That is purely a guy that's been hit with body shots over and over again, and he's seen the knockout hook whiz past his face too many times. There were 2 plays that would have ended with Malachi Moore on a wide receiver's highlight reel.
Yep.
2 plays.
Yeah, we got lucky. We got lucky that this was the result was like a crazy catch that didn't even count, even though it should have counted, and then busted coverage that weren't completely taken advantage of. Although they did get the second clip. This one here, this is the maddening one in real time. I said you can't run this as a defense. And again, we're gonna key in on Malachi Moore right here. He's kind of that pseudo end man of line of scrimmage. My biggest thing before we even play this clip, you got 2 over 2 with the deepest safety and Sauce Gardner back in the game. That's 8 yards of cushion and 11 yards of cushion.
Why?
I don't understand.
You're running a blitz. Like, for the sake of disguising it, maybe. But, I mean, at this point, the cat's already out of the bag. Like, just –
we know what you're trying to do. It's the fourth quarter. We're not discovering tendencies anymore. We are now playing to play.
Yes. Like, look at this. And I didn't watch this fully to see if this was a natural all-out blitz or if this was kind of a creeper pressure where if you're blocked, you drop out. But let me see.
We'll play it through.
Trips. Yep. No. This is just all out. All out.
It's
No.
It's cover 0. Safety, Malachi Moore comes down. Andre Sisco's creeping down. He's at the 35-yard line right now. You're just in complete cover 0. But also, you don't have anybody covering your tight end.
Tight end. Like the tight end's right
there. If I'm Malachi Moore, I'm sorry to cut you off, but if I'm Malachi Moore and I see 3 released to my right, and I know there's only 2 guys behind me, I'm either staying put and getting depth or width rather, like towards the outside hash to block that screen. Because like if Malachi Moore was standing right here and he just got more width, he'd be in the way for that screen because he knows he's not getting to Baker. Look, anybody could tell that Baker is throwing this ball before anybody on the field gets to him. So just get a little bit of width here or stay home and block this guy because now you have 3 over 3 and it's a numbers game. You've clearly left yourself vulnerable with, I believe that's Isaiah Oliver and Sauce Gardner, probably 2 of your weakest tacklers on, a tight end and a wide receiver block for an easy screen.
Yeah, we don't know I still don't know what's going on here because, I mean, it's like you're showing blitz. Why are they playing
We're lucky this wasn't a touchdown. Every single play we've shown should have been an explosive gain or a touchdown. This one is the worst to watch in real time because we had him on fringe field goal range. And this was the opportunity to make that one final stop that we knew probably wasn't coming anyway. But it's like,
and then
good job for McGregor getting out there, but like he made a shoulder tackle and now he's falling outside the numbers.
Yep.
And he can't make a play. Like it is Isaiah Oliver who missed another tackle.
Yep.
So just not great when the Jets had a chance to close out a game. They took the lead on a miraculous blocked field goal, which shout out to Chris Banjo, shout out to Aaron Glenn. They put Will McDonald in that position to make that play. And they talked about how they coached that point out into him. So, And then they got so close, dude. I don't have the all 22 available for the field goal attempt for the game winner. They were so close to blocking it again. And that's why AG was clapping on the video that's going viral of him clapping as he's walking across the field. So I was so disheartened by watching that drive because after all the, even if you want to call it a fugazi comeback where the Bucs laxed on their defense, even though I thought they only did it for one drive and they kind of got right back to safety blitzing, it was just so disheartening to watch this version of our defense.
Yeah, the worst possible version. And it's just, you saw everything come to light, just the lack of experience, the thinness in key positions, the lack of a true bona fide tackling safety, like all of that just, it really did come out. And I mean, the problem is the fix is technically on the roster. I feel like there are a couple of things that you can do to this roster to fix it. But the fact that we just, in the most crucial moment of a gotta have a game against a very tough opponent, mind you. The Buccaneers are a tough opponent. That's a win that can change your entire season because people are still trying to figure out what the Jets are, And now, I mean, we kind of have an idea of what the Jets are, but I don't even think, and this is where I get pissed off at people that, say, oh, it is the same old Jets. I mean, it's technically not because you're not finding a way to lose against trash opponents. You're finding a way to lose against. And, we got to throw the Buffalo game out because that was just, I mean, they're elite.
Burn the tape. Burn the tape. As a former player, you just have those games, you get through the film review and you absolutely burn the tape.
Yeah. Yeah. They're elite. Like if you were expecting to go in just because they're an in-division rival, if you're expecting to go in and just like, beat the Bills, no. Two different franchises, completely different trajectories. One's experienced, one's mature, one already knows what they are, what they want to be, and the other's young. And we're seeing that youth. But these are very close games against comparable opponents. The Steelers, the Buccaneers, they're both in that mid-high tier where you can see these guys kind of making a little bit of noise in playoffs. Not so much the Steelers now. And I mean, that's just because, again, the Mike Tomlin magic, you can only rub it on so much before it starts. It's like Ben Gay, Yeah, Ben Gay works. You can rub it on. You're hurting. But, hey, you put in Ben Gay, you're like, yeah, I can do it. You can maybe make it one more game. That's it. And that's what they've been. But the Buccaneers, this is a top-tier team. And, yeah, they were a little hurt. But, it's still the top-tier opponent right there. And so the Jets are close, but they're young. And the fix is on the roster. And this is one of those, the issues that we're seeing right now. They're things that can resolve if you have the coaches that can just work with these young guys and bring them on and teach them the system. And that's something that fans don't get is that week to week, guys start to make connections. They start to understand where they went wrong. Like they're not just, with the exception of the Buffalo film, they're not just like not watching film. Like they're watching and learning what they did wrong. I guarantee you're going to see a different Malachi Moore if he's getting comparable snaps here because he knows what he's going to do. I'm praying that, again, Azareye'h Thomas, he gets some more burn at that cornerback too. Sauce Gardner is ready to go. Okay, cool. Give him cornerback one. Although, I mean, this is going to be a very tough matchup because, you've got speedy guys. Sauce, he's a little bit of a grabbing fiend, especially when he's got to go man-to-man against a faster guy because, those long-limbed corners, they're nice. They look good getting off the bus, but, man, like the foot speed difference in a guy like Tyreek Hill, even a Jalen
It looks different
Waddle.
in phase. Yeah, it looks different in phase when you're 6'3" versus like 5'11". Like DJ Reed always
Exactly.
looked better in phase to me than Sauce Gardner did, although he's playing just as good technique and he's just playing, it's tough when you're that tall, but yeah, I get what
Yeah.
you're saying.
And
We're
now,
going to combine these questions. Oh, you had more to add on to
no,
that?
no, no, no. Let's
Okay.
go ahead. Let's
All right,
move.
we're gonna add these two questions together. Christopher Wilson says, Malcolm, do you think these problems are correctable over the course of the season? And then Jay Quest also a two-parter. Is this a coordinator problem or a roster problem? What are your thoughts, correctable wise, and then coordinator versus roster?
So, how much cap you got? That's going to be the question that I'd have to ask to Darren Muji. And how much does he want to spend? Because Darren Muji strikes me as a bargain shopper, and that's really what he's been doing. I mean, he's been making some good moves for the money, but it's like Harrison Phillips and Juwan Briggs. That definitely fixes a bit of a run issue up front. But now he's trying to patch the secondary up, and the question is, who is left now? You spent so much time kind of negotiating. It's like, and I don't know if you guys have Publix where you're at. We got Publix. Publix has buy one
Pub subs are elite.
Oh man, yeah.
I had one yesterday. Pub subs are elite. Barbecue chicken tender sandwich.
Yes, they hit like no other. Like
if
brother,
you're not from the southern, southeast states, you might not know what Publix is, but it is the best.
Yes, but Muji is like that guy at Publix that will debate BOGOs forever. He's like, I want this, but I also want that. And he'll spend an hour in the store last second on the day before the BOGO cycle resets, and then the store closes, and he hadn't picked out what he wants because he's trying to get the best deal.
Yeah.
And that's what I see with Muji. It's like you needed a good safety yesterday. Like Brownlee is good, yes. Mm-hmm. And I think that he can feel some things, but you needed some more safety play because you knew this was a weakness. So it goes back to the question, is this correctable over season? I think so. I think we got enough DBs that we can patch something up. And if you remember what Aaron Glenn did in Detroit, especially when guys went down, Aaron Glenn was masterful with taking a broken and battered defense and patching it into something comparable.
Mm-hmm.
You can fix this. I just don't know how much control Wilkes has over things, whether AG even wants to, step in and be that play calling guy that's like, I'm going to have more control over the season. I don't know if that's what he wants to do, but I think that's what he's going to have to do. And then Muji's going to have to open the pocketbook. Like, I get it. This is season one. This is not even supposed to be a winning season. Like, I get it. But at the same time, this is a statement season, if you don't want your owner coming down and meddling, you have to make a statement, and you got to make a statement that puts butts in seats. And so Muji's going to, somebody's going to have to get in Muji's ear, tell him, hey, spend a little bit of money, man. Like, let's go trade for somebody that's top tier on both offense and defense. Because you still need a wide receiver too. We're not even talking offense today, but I mean, again, a lot of the offensive problems could be mitigated with a very good wide receiver to move Josh Reynolds to your wide receiver 3, and all of a sudden you will see a whole new level of play from, I don't care if it's Justin or Tyrod, but preferably Justin, because again, you want to set yourself up for the future, but you will see a whole new level of play. Same thing on defense. You get a top flight safety. And then maybe let's talk about moving Brandon Stevens to safety, because a lot of people don't remember Brandon Stevens' natural position was free safety.
Yep. At SMU, he played it. Yep.
And he plays corner like a safety. Like, that's
does.
why do people think he doesn't have them? Like, he's fast, but he has no ball skills. Mm-hmm. Why is that? Because he can't get his head around. Safeties don't have to get their head around a ball. They're always looking at it. Brandon Stevens. Yeah, hey, look, if he misses more interceptions, I'm gonna start calling him Brandon Stevies. But Brandon Stevens is a fast, sticky safety with durability that can hit. That's your safety problem right there. Mm-hmm. Think about how different Andre Cisco is if you deploy him in a dime package. Now, maybe he's that weak side coverage guy that's just coming to pick up an extra receiver. Maybe you move Malachi Moore to the nickel now because you have Brandon Stevens and and an experienced veteran safety that's directing traffic on the back end. How much different does this defense look? And then Azaria Thomas is right there, and he's playing cornerback too, and he's developing on the outside of Sauce. You got 2 long corners, a good size safety that can move, can tackle, and then whoever you want at safety number 1. And then that's not even to say nickel. Again, we've got our new nickel. We got Brownlee now. He can play nickel. Michael Carter doesn't have to have the full workload because he can't get healthy. You can fix this defense.
Yeah. I certainly agree. And there's a chart that we'll pull up in just a second, but I agree. There's too much talent on all 3 levels of this defense for it to not work. And I feel like the front 4 has been working. The linebackers have been either very good in moments or very, very bad for a long stretch of time. And then the DBs, it's like pick your poison. One of these guys is messing up on the back end somehow. So it's like little things that over the course of the season should be ironed out. But I also think from a Muji perspective, next offseason is going to be the measuring stick of like, okay, what are your chops as a GM like? Like, what moves are you going to make to really bolster this roster, finally bring in all your guys? Because we know the first year of the regime, they want to try to be cap friendly, but also bring in their own guys. And it felt like for the most part, they've kind of missed with like Stevens and Cisco. Even Payne Sherwood was, in hindsight, most Jets fans would say, don't do that move. But I mean, you got to give them at least one more full off season of evaluating the team. This has always been the discovery year. So I do think it is correctable, but I also think, and we'll get into the chart in just a second, but it is both scheme and it is both roster at this point through 3 games.
And on that, I was about to say, just on that Sherwood point, and this is something that a lot of guys also don't get. The reason why we didn't see very many veteran acquisitions is because Aaron Glenn was trying to set a culture. And to set a culture, you can't have guys coming from established programs that are like these legends and names that if they hear something that they think is fugazi from the coach, they're going to say, nah, we didn't do that where I'm from, or hey, I don't know about you, but this is what I do. Like, you didn't want guys like that. I can understand. That's why we were so hesitant in getting guys. That's why you did go ahead and sign your Keystone guys, because you needed people that had been in the locker room already, that could communicate with the guys that were already there and be your culture guys. So I get it.
Yeah. And I understand Jets fans' frustrations also. They want to see immediate results, but it's going to take probably about 16 months totality from hiring point last January to see what they can actually do from a roster and scheme perspective. I see a jump of viewers in the room, so I just wanted to remind everybody we are doing a raffle giveaway. We are giving away DT t-shirts tonight at the end of the show. Each super chat, $1 super chat equals 1 entry, and it'll go up from there. 5 is 5, 10 is 10, obviously. And then for each gifted membership you gift is 5 entries into the raffle. So we're going to look to do about 2 or 3 t-shirt giveaways. And then for the A1 Since Day One community, those of you at the $5 exclusive tier, I will do a special t-shirt giveaway for you guys specifically. So one more question for you, Malcolm, before we get you out of here. I appreciate you taking up a little bit more of your time than we originally agreed on. Cover 6 with this defense. You sent me the chart. I planned on talking about it. Sorry for those of you at home that can't fully see it. I tried to make the graphic as big as I possibly could here. Cover 6, also known as quarter, half, where you have 3 deep defensive back types covering a quarter, and a half of the field, is I don't want to say it's a new defense because it's been in defenses for a long time, but it seems like that has been the new trendy answer to a lot of these offenses. And you can see right here, this is a list of all defenses listed by EPA per drop back. The Jets are 30th and the Miami Dolphins are 32nd on this list. But the Jets are the only defense that has run 0% cover 6. So do you think that the Jets could benefit from running cover 6 and implementing this into their defense? Or do you think this is something that they're just never going to do and maybe it's a trend that is just going to pass them by?
Well, it's going to depend on if old man Wilkes decides that he wants to, pick up some of those Saban thingamajiggers and start implementing it, because it just seems like that's not in Steve Wilkes' bag. Now, if we leave it up to Aaron Glenn, it might be in his bag. He might say, hey, why have we not ran quarter, half? Why are we not doing this? And then we got to ask also, what's the deal with the young guys? Like, Malachi Moore, I know for a fact he can run cover 6. I know for a fact that Azaria Thomas can probably take a quarter of a field while you've got one safety playing a half. But then it's like, who's the other guy playing a half? You're looking at
do you think it could be Sauce, or would you rather Stevens with Sauce as the cloud corner opposite?
I like the idea of Stevens being over the top over that way, to be honest, because Sauce is more. I mean, I don't want Sauce that far away from action, just because again, you've got those long limbs. Like you don't turn over very quickly with those. Like there's advantages and disadvantages to being a long rangey corner. I think Brandon Stevens, again, somebody that's been a corner, and now you're asking him to do a little bit less coverage burden now by moving him to safety. I think he could do something like that. But, quarter, half it's shocking that we don't do that. But then you also watch our defenses. They're spot dropping. Like, these guys are not pattern matching. You don't see, we're running cover 3 22% of the time. We're not running cover 3 Mabel, or we're not running like special, we're running Rip and Liz and Buzz. Like these guys are getting to a spot in cover 3, and it's very vanilla. And that just tells me, okay, either you don't have faith in these guys to execute the rules and the pass offs, which I mean, okay, looking at the film, maybe they're kind of right. But I don't, but either you don't have the faith in these guys, or you don't have the faith in yourself to teach them. And you're like, oh, okay, we just don't have enough time. We're just going to have to run this, guys. And, it's just like, I would like to see it. But I know that if it's not something they've installed, and you can tell, again, looking at their cover 1 and cover 2%, cover 1 and cover 3 percentage.
So for those at home, I took the chart down because it was hard to read. Cover 1 man was 29% of the time, the most of the Jets, any of their coverages. And then you said cover 3 is 22% of the time. So you're talking about those single high coverages with your 2 boundary corners either bailing with their butts to the sidelines or pressing up in man.
Exactly. And so, they like their single high. And yes, they do run some cover 2 and cover 4. They throw that in Spice. I think that's about as crazy. That's about as multiple as they're going to get. Oh, are we going to be single high, or are we going to be split safety? Are we single high, or are we split safety? And they like they like to drop and rotate a guy in every now and again. But other than that, it just doesn't seem like cover 6 is really in their game plan. And I don't know if they can install it with guys that are, pretty green, and it's only getting greener because now you're going even younger. I don't know if you can just install that ridiculously. But
do you think if they tried to sprinkle it in, it would help against the Dolphins specifically?
I think it could, especially again if you're going to do it to Tyreek's side, or let's say if they run some bunch. I think again, having multiple guys protecting deep like that, I think that just takes away so much of a deep bomb threat. And again, the Dolphins, maybe it doesn't help because the Dolphins like to get the ball out of Tua's hands very quickly. And that's another thing, is that they're not trying to make Tua hold, they don't want Tua to hold the ball for a long time. So it's here's the thing. If they're going to go deep, it's because Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle beat somebody like that, and they're going deep. So it's maybe you do that, maybe you force them. I actually think this is more of a Steve Wilkes-esque game because, again, you can beat that quick release game with a lot of zone blitzing. That's what Steve Wilkes likes to do. He likes to line a guy up, send a guy, drop a guy out. Okay, maybe you sort of manipulate their pass game rules where they think that somebody's going to be a little bit loose. And all of a sudden, oh, wait, that window's clouded. Now Tua's holding the ball a little bit more. Oh, sorry, now Tua's CTE maxing. Maybe that's how you do it. I don't know yet. And so, that's it's debatable as to whether or not playing quarter half would help right now. It's not played a lot by certain teams. The only teams that really play it a lot are the Bengals and the Vikings. Number one, we can't even say anything about the Vikings because, again, their DC is a freaking wizard. That guy's a mad wizard. Let's not. Brian Flores is.
D-Flow is so good.
Brian Flores is the mad wizard. Nobody can do what Brian Flores does. And the Bengals, I mean, their defense is that's not really the best example. But then, the next team is the Packers, and they got they're really good because they're front seven, but they also got torched by the Browns.
Yeah, the Browns. Yep.
So, we're sort of in a weird spot to where it's like, do you go with what you know? Or do you sort of reach in your bag and say, oh, hey, look, I found a bagler. Yeah, sorry, I just had McDonald's. I found a fry.
Baglers are elite. Baglers are elite.
So yeah, do you reach in your bag and say, oh, I found a bagler? Okay. And it's like the bet, it's got all the salt on it. It's just what makes it work. So maybe that's going to be the question that we have to ask. But I think that for this game, again, it's going to be a lot of zone blitzing. You're going to have to keep Tua holding the ball longer because, again, Mike McDaniel already knows he wants to go fast. He wants to get the ball out of his hands. I don't think they're going to try to establish a run identity. If they do, it's because the Jets can't tackle worth of crap, and they're just slipping and sliding all over in the offensive line of the Dolphins, which they spent all that money on and got like no return. All of a sudden look good for some odd reason. That's what I think. That's the only way that I think that we lose in the run game. And I'm more concerned about how do we get pressure up the middle? How do we affect things with the front? Like, this is a front seven game, and we're down two of our linebackers
and Jermaine.
Oh man, yeah. So
it's we'll get you out of here on this. And what is your prediction for the game? I know some Jets fans are optimistic. There's some Jets fans that have kind of given up already. To me, this is the measuring stick game. So where's your head at in terms of a score or an outcome?
I'm kind of optimistic again, but I'm only optimistic in one or two ways. This is going to be one of those runaway games. Either the Jets finally take their frustrations out and we go up like 30, 32, because the variance with Justin Fields is so wild. And it's wild because when it works with Justin, it works really freaking well. And the Dolphins defense is god awful. And it's just like what I said that we were going to touch on a little bit later with how Will McDonald was dropped out on one of those zone blitzes. Well, the Dolphins love to, for whatever reason, drop Jalen Phillips, who's actually a Sam linebacker. They drop him out 22% of the time. So, yeah, their best pass rusher.
That's crazy.
So with this one, their secondary is already trash, and Justin Fields can't. He can dice up a trash secondary. The Steelers' secondary is not a good secondary. I know everybody blamed Minkah Fitzpatrick for the communication issues, but no, there's a little bit of bad stuff going on there. So it's like, okay, you give him a clean pocket. I think they can run away with it in the pass game, even because again, but then you also have to ask, how's the run game going to be? Like, if the run game's good and you have those crossers that, again, Tanner Engstrand loves to dial up available, okay, well, now we're cooking. So I think the Jets can hang up 30. But now, if Tua and Tyreek and Jalen Waddle make this a track race, like if the screens are screening, and they're screening really well, and our guys just for whatever reason decided they want to take a baby oil bath before the game for some good luck or something down there in Miami. Whew, man, it can get ugly because our tackling in space has not been good, and I want to see how Malachi Moore is. I really pray that somebody descends from on high and tells Steve Wilkes, hey, you got a guy that used to play safety. Maybe move him back to safety and put Azaria in.
They have two guys, Michael Carter as well. He was a safety at Duke, and they started doing some split half or some half field stuff where they'd rotate back and Cisco would come down and Malachi Moore and Michael Carter would be the 2 high safeties. So it's like you have so many wrinkles at your disposal. Please reach into that McDonald's bag and find those bags. Find the bagglers, man.
Yes,
I'm gonna be tweeting at you as soon as we see a wrinkle. I'm gonna be like, he found a baggler.
That's the motto for the game. Find the baggler. That's the motto for this game.
Keys to victory, bagglers.
Yeah.
Who'd have thought?
Man,
Malcolm, I greatly appreciate you hopping on. Thank you so much. I know I said 30, 40 minutes and we're over an hour. So
good, man.
I really appreciate it. If you want to plug your Twitter account, I know you have 6-figure followers. So maybe me and my little platform here can't help you too much, but tell the people where they can find it.
It can definitely help. Yeah, definitely follow me on Twitter. You can probably see it on the screen if you can. It's just, I don't know. Okay, so yeah, you can definitely see it on the screen. Please follow me on Twitter. I like to do football talk, but my followers or the algorithm gods, for whatever reason, they don't quite like football. Haven't figured it out. We're gonna resolve it. We're gonna get the football gods back on our side with the algo gods. So follow me there. I don't have a YouTube channel. Admittedly, I'm just a little too busy and lazy for YouTube, but maybe one day I will, and I'll start getting some production tips from my man Dylan. But other than that, yeah, just follow me there. I babble, I talk, man. It's all good.
Malcolm, I certainly appreciate you again. Thank you for hopping on. We will have to have you back. I can see the chat already blowing up saying how insightful you were. So we will have to have you back later on in the season when hopefully we have more wrinkles to talk about with this defense and hopefully some wins along the way.
Definitely, man. Looking forward to it. Y'all have a good one.
You too, man. Thank you. All right, there he goes. That's Malcolm Flex. I am so appreciative of his time. I asked him for 30 to 40 minutes, and he gave us over an hour. So I'm really happy that he was very gracious with his time. I did see throughout all that we had a couple things pop up. My guy Green Gang 365 gifted 5 DT memberships. I had the list right here. Kevin Tattoos, Ryder and Talons PA, Jet Life 321, Sir Luca, and Joshua Langley all became members of the A1 Since Day One community. You can thank Green Gang, and that earns him 25 raffle entries into the DT giveaway later. And then Robin Boy Wonder also gifted 1 channel membership. That one went to Delonte. So Robin earned himself 5 entries into the raffle as well. Hopefully you guys don't come away completely stressed out about this defense. I know it looked bad on the All-22, but hopefully there's some insight in there that gives us hope that maybe we can win a couple games down the stretch. It's unfortunate because over the last couple seasons, I always felt like the defense, when they were on the field, I was never really that nervous. Like a deep pass would go up and it's an incompletion more often than not. And nowadays it's scary hours when the defense is on the field. And I feel much more confident, whether it's Fields or Tyrod Taylor back there playing quarterback. I actually feel a little bit more confident with the defense off the field. So it's a completely new outlook on this team that I just wasn't expecting, to be completely honest, entering the season. Also, our guy Dre Day, he became a member of the A1 Since Day One community. Shout out to you, Dre Day. I enjoyed meeting you at the Week 1 tailgate. Me, you, and Nate, we were chopping it up, talking Week 1 inactives, and that was cool. That was cool. I got to meet so many people over the last 3 weeks. I normally am not one that goes to football games, but it was super important for me to get out and start, networking a little bit with this great community, because you guys are awesome. And I've said it. That's why I named it A1 Since Day One. You guys truly are the best community around. And I thank you guys all for your participation. He says, "What's cracking, my guy?" Nothing, man. I'm just chilling. Having a good old Friday ball talk. Yeah, you know it. You know it, man. I had my THC seltzer before we went live. Once again, $1 super chats will earn you 1 raffle entry into the DT t-shirt giveaway. Holding it up right here. It comes in black, gray, or green. We have all sizes available. You'll just tell me when you win. Each membership gifted is equal to 5 entries, or you can join the A1 Since Day One community yourself, and that'll earn you 5 entries as well. Rico the Pup, this is about our quarter, half conversation. He said that's a bit of a misleading stat. The Lions and Rams both run cover 6 less than 4% of the time, are either experiencing any issues. It needs more context. Yeah, I certainly think we could do a whole hour about quarter, half, to be honest. And a Buffalo Jet fan did a really good breakdown on one of his videos last week. I wish I knew exactly which one so I could direct you there. But he talked about quarter, half and how the top 10 defenses in terms of DVOA, all run more than 10% cover, half. So I'm not saying that you just run it and all of a sudden it's going to work for your defense, but I do think there is a little bit of a correlation there between some of the better defenses amongst the league and their success rate. Obviously, you look at the Rams and the Lions, like you pointed out, they don't run it, but they have, other coverages that work well for them. So like I said, most stats can be misleading from that perspective. There's just a lot of nuance into that take, but I do think that the Jets should run quarter, half, a little bit more often than they do. Let's see what else we got. I had a couple saved in here that I wanted to get to specifically. Junio Rudy, he says Brandon Stevie's. I'm gonna start using that. That was hilarious. If we started getting Brandon Stevie's going in the fan base, that would be bad for him. My guy Nate Dogg, he says, "Oh my God, the episode the people have been waiting for." Yeah, that was long awaited. I remember Nate asking me if we can get Malcolm on the channel. So happy I could get him on. That was a great film breakdown. And I always love, insight from people like him, like All 22 Drew, who we've had on in the past couple weeks. Just talking ball for a straight hour. That's the stuff that I live for. So I hope that you guys appreciate that too. Stephen Fox says, please smash the like, subscribe, and the reminder bell. Thank you. Absolutely. Don't let Steven down. Don't let Steven be upset. We need to smash that like button, hit the subscribe button. I believe I was at like 1,013 when the episode started. So I certainly appreciate everybody who's already become a subscriber tonight. And truthfully, never thought that this would be a thing. And I feel like an actual podcaster now. I have, my 1,000 subscribers. I'm fully monetized on YouTube. So we're here, baby. And I appreciate everybody joining along for the ride. It's unfortunate when the team isn't great and we can't talk about a ton of great things, but I promise we're going to keep the content flow and the conversations going all winter long, regardless of what the status of this team looks like. I promise to keep it on the rails as much as I can. Obviously, we will dictate the conversation in the chat, but I'm really excited for what's coming, and a lot of ideas floating around for this channel that I'm really hoping to make become a thing before the season's over. Robin Boy Wonder, I'm inhaling my PM THC. Absolutely, Robin. It's Friday. It's F it Friday. That's what we say at work all the time. When you're done working at the end of a long week and you're just like, do you want to just go home, save it for next week? Most cases we end up saying, no, we got to stay and finish the job. But some of those Fridays, that's what it feels like. I did have a slideshow of a couple graphs that I wanted to bring up about this game, about the Jets offense in general. The first one that I did want to share, this is directly from my play charting data. So if you are a member of the A1 since day one community, you have a lot of this information at your disposal already at the $5 tier. If you go into my YouTube channel and the most recent posts, I made a post thanking you guys for becoming a member of the channel. And in that post, for only members to see, is a link to all of my spreadsheets, play charting, offensive personnel usage. I believe there's a weekly rankings spreadsheet in there. There is also a depth chart that is coming soon. So you're going to get a lot of cool behind the scenes features that I've been working on. All at the $5 tier, A1 since day one. A lot of you guys have been gifted memberships or became a member yourself. So I certainly appreciate that support tonight. Based on the charting data that I have, I broke it down, personnel grouping. So how many times did they have 3 wide receivers on the field? How many times did they have 2 tight ends on the field? How many times did they do the Brees and Braylon in the backfield at the same time? And what I came away with was 74.2% of the time they had 3 wide receivers on the field. That is evident of having a 2-score deficit to make up in the fourth quarter and a 3-score deficit to make up in the second half in its entirety. So a lot of, traditional personnel groupings that the Jets would have ran, like 12 personnel, 21 personnel, those somewhat went out the window in the second half, and they ran just a lot of 11 personnel with Garrett Wilson, Tyler Johnson, and Arian Smith as the 3 wide receiver set. So a little bit of a skewed number there at 74.2%. And you'll see on the season totals in the next slide, it's a bit of an outlier game just based on how much they had to come back. But that also goes to show just how uncompetitive this game was for about three quarters, really, for the Jets. Then you move down to 12 personnel, so your 2 tight end sets. This was always, well, I shouldn't say always. There was, I think, 1 rep where Andrew Beck was the tight end, but it was mostly Mason Taylor and Jeremy Ruckert. That made up 18.5% of their offensive snaps. This is based on a 70-play sample size. They ran 21 personnel, so 2 running backs, 1 tight end, 5.7% of the time. That's your mixture of Andrew Beck in the backfield, like I formation, offset I formation, pistol, also Braylon and Brees on at the same time. I don't remember having more than 1 instance this past game where Brees and Braylon were on the field at the same time. So hopefully that does change a little bit. And then 22 personnel, which was just, I believe, a kneel down right before the half, that they were just heavy personnel to take a knee. They ran shifter motions, so a pre-snap, movement by the offensive skill positions 50% of the time, which I think is a good rate. Normally, I think some of the better teams are closer to 60%. I'd have to be fact-checked on that, but that's also, neutral game scripts. When you're playing from behind, you're not necessarily doing a ton of motion. And they only had four explosive plays, so 5.7% of their plays were explosives. That is a number far too low, in my opinion. It's about 40% of the numbers that they should have. I think the number is 10 explosives that Tanner Angstrand wants to run. They had 11 or so in week 1. So I think the number is actually 8 that he wants. So you're halfway to the number of explosives, and that's just not acceptable, considering one of them was a Tyrod Taylor scramble, and you also had dropped passes from Tyler Johnson that could have been explosive plays across the middle. So they left many explosives out on the field. Luppy, I appreciate you. Love these breakdowns. I certainly appreciate all your support, Luppy. Thank you. And I love doing these breakdowns. It helps, kind of digest the numbers a little bit and explain what I'm trying to convey in terms of my messaging. So I'm glad that it's coming across well, hopefully. In the next column, we have passing and run splits. So basically how many, times did they run it versus how many times did they pass it? It's as simple as that. Again, they were playing from behind in this game a ton. So they had 38 regular drop back passes and 8 play action passes, which comprises of 65.6% of their entire play sheet. So 66 is 2/3, right? 2/3 of their calls were passing situations. They only had 15 instances of true running plays. I don't count a quarterback scramble as a run. I count that as a designed pass play called, and then the quarterback scramble because the play broke down. So 22.8% of the time they ran a true running play where it was designed to be either a quarterback keeper or a designed handoff. RPO, I had 4, and this is a bit of a misleading number, and I probably should have just left it out and categorized them as runs or passes. It's a little bit harder to identify RPOs on film without knowing like for sure that they're RPOs. But basically, if Tyrod Taylor was at the mesh point with the running back looking to the left, and there was a play side screen option or outlet pass option, I labeled that as an RPO. Maybe that is misidentifying them as RPOs, but I only had 4 instances of that, 3 of which were runs. So if you want to say 18 runs and 47 passes, that's probably the easiest way. Then you had 2 clock snaps, which are, QB spikes or QB kneels, and then 2 penalties, pre-snap penalties only, false starts, delay of games, those types of things, not just like a offensive holding, because that is a post-snap play. So you could see that they kind of got away from their bread and butter, which is running the ball. Obviously, if they're passing it at a 66% clip. And now this next slide here is the personnel grouping breakdown over the first 3 games. Again, this is all available at the A1 since day one tier. I'm doing incremental updates on some of this data. I'm not going to obviously release the full data for the free viewers just because I want to, keep exclusivity to the A1 since day one. But you can see we've had 184 total plays this season, 66 against Pittsburgh, 48 against Buffalo, which is why I call that the outlier game, and then 70 snaps against Tampa Bay. For a total of 184, we've run 131 out of 11 personnel. And if you see the breakdown, you were very close to even with a 38-27 split versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Obviously, everything got away from them. In Buffalo, they ran 4 snaps of 12 personnel to 41 snaps of 11 personnel. So they were constantly in shotgun 11 personnel trying to come back in that game. And then versus Tampa Bay, they got away from it because they were down, again, 3 scores in the second half, 52 to 13 split. So the season total is 71% 11 personnel. So obviously having 74% in this last game is going to increase your percentage. And then they have about 24% 12 personnel and then almost 5% in the other personnel grouping. So they're getting away from what they needed to be, which is a 12 personnel run heavy offense. And that's obviously due to game scripts. So when I'm looking at the Miami Dolphins, I'm looking at a team where if you can handle the run and get back to the 38-27, and you're constantly keeping, versatility in your offense, and it's not the same 11 personnel, 2x2 shotgun running back in the backfield, you got to keep them guessing. And we did against Pittsburgh, and the splits are showing it. So hopefully we can continue that trend and get back to that with the Miami Dolphins. This next slide, I just wanted to give our rookie first rounder, Armand Membu, some love. Here are a couple of tweets talking about some analytic numbers with Armand Membu. He is 8th in pass block win rate amongst tackles at a 96% clip. There's 4 tackles immediately ahead of him. Those are Joe Alt, Deion Dawkins, Garrett Bowles, and Penei Sewell. So very good company for our rookie right tackle out of Missouri, just 3 games in. And this next one from Ryan Fowler, and this kind of goes into context about the competition he's playing. Rookie right tackle Armand Membu has been excellent in his first 3 starts. It's even more impressive who he's done it against in the veteran groups for Pittsburgh, Buffalo, and Tampa Bay. 108 pass pro snaps, 3 pressures allowed, only 1 sack allowed for a pressure rate of 3.7%. So shout out to Armand Membu. He is absolutely crushing it right now. And I know there was a lot of talk about, should we have taken Tyler Warren? Should we have taken insert name here? I know Malcolm and I talked about Emeka Egbuka. He was a guy I wanted, obviously, if you were to trade down in the first round, but that just wasn't going to be the case given the need at right tackle. But there were other ways to go, and I think they got the answer right with Armand Membu. And then I did have one more. This is to put into perspective my thoughts about Fields versus Tyrod Taylor. And obviously it looks like Fields is going to be the starter over Tyrod Taylor in week 4. It just looks like he's practicing full participation the last 2 days. And I don't think Tyrod did enough to hold his jobs, especially in a loss. But when you put together some of these analytic nerd stats here, I came up with Fields is drastically better. Even on film, to me, it looked a lot different in week 1. And I get it, week 2, Justin Fields had literally his worst game of his career. So for the Jets fans that are telling me we have to excuse week 1 because that's never what Justin Fields plays like, I would say the same thing about week 2. We never see Justin Fields play that poorly. We've seen stinker games from Justin Fields, but not to the level of how drastically bad his numbers were and just how bad it looked on film. You miss a wide open 3rd down pass to Garrett, and then you fumble the ball in the next possession, and it felt like he never came back mentally and was ready to lead the team back against Buffalo. But week 1, I broke down these categories: EPA per play, completion percentage over expected, a composite score of both EPA and CPOE, where those quarterbacks ranked in terms of composite score, and their time to throw. So, yeah, Kyle Clifton, pretty much. That's what I'm getting at. Tyrod stank. He pretty much did. And there was some things he did well, but there were some things I definitely didn't appreciate from Tyrod. And Thomas, I appreciate you. He said, "What's up, DT? Great content like always. Thank you so much. Greatly appreciated." So EPA per play, you can see Fields 0.417 to Tyrod's negative 0.055. Obviously, I don't have to tell you Fields wins that one. CPOE is basically if you took away all the drops and throwaways and things of that nature, what would your expected completion percentage be? And then how did you perform based on expectations? So although Tyrod Taylor had a plus 7.5 CPOE, so he completed 7.5% of passes over expected, Justin Fields did a 10.4% CPOE, and his was in the mid to high 70s. He had about a 76% completion percentage, and he really should have had a 66% completion percentage. So once again, Fields wins that one. Obviously, if you win both categories, you're going to win the composite score, which Fields does. Obviously, it's 0.249 is higher than 0.089. And then their weekly rank. Fields was 5th in terms of composite score after week 1. He was considered the 5th most efficient passer. Tyrod Taylor was 16th, and he was pretty middle of the pack. And then you look at the last metric here, time to throw, abysmally long for both quarterbacks, 2.93 for Tyrod, 3.38 for Justin Fields. And I wanted to add in time to throw because that is a big emphasis on the offensive line. If you have to ask your guys to hold up for three or more seconds in this NFL, they're going to allow pressures, they're going to allow sacks, coverage breakdowns. Things are going to happen up front if your quarterbacks are holding onto the ball this long. For context, Justin Fields is the longest time to throw in the NFL of all qualified quarterbacks, and Tyrod Taylor was top 10. I believe he was 8th or 7th. So you're talking about guys who are holding onto the ball far too long in the pocket. And in my opinion, I feel like even when Fields does that, his speed and ability to get out of the pocket allows him to do it better than Tyrod Taylor, whereas Tyrod Taylor is a little bit slow getting out of the pocket, and we saw that against Tampa Bay. So then the other thing, once they do break the pocket, Justin Fields in week 1 was keeping his eyes downfield to throw the ball on numerous occasions, which from a watcher of football perspective, especially around the quarterbacking position, that is like chef's kiss. Justin Fields keeping his eyes downfield, looking to throw while scrambling is a chef's kiss. Tyrod Taylor, he had 48 yards of scramble yards rushing. I don't think they had any designed runs for him. And every time he broke the pocket, it was like, okay, I'm just looking to run, and nobody else is going to get the ball. And there were instances where Mason Taylor was open on a little hook sit over the middle, and he took off and ran and didn't throw it. Or Tyler Johnson found the soft spot in the zone, and Tyrod just didn't go, and he decided to run for 2 or 3 yards to the sideline instead. So there are definitely quarterbacking elements that even though Fields is not perfect, this is not to say Fields is our long-term guy, and I hate that I even have to caveat this conversation with that. But Fields, to me, was clearly the better passer, the better quarterback. He's the guy that the scheme is designed around. So if he was not healthy enough to play, obviously you go with Tyrod, but that is not the thinking with this coaching staff in terms of if both are healthy. Fields is obviously the guy. So I wanted to put it into a little bit more context there. But I did think that there were things that Tyrod did well. He had a really nice timing pass to Garrett Wilson. He had a nice timing route over the middle, I believe, to Tyler Johnson. There were some plays that he made, but ultimately I think that Tyrod left way more plays out on the field than Justin did. And again, we have to see week 1 version of Justin or something closer to that than anything else before we can really evaluate Justin Fields for what he is, because there's still a chance that he is the guy for the first, 6 to 8 games of next season before we finally transition to that quarterback that we're all going to be, in agreement over who the quarterback is for our team at the top of the draft, right, chat? I know this chat is going to be in solidarity with each other about who the quarterback is. There's going to be no There's going to be no debates. Like Stephen Fox says he's watching Mendoza this weekend. I certainly will be tuned in to that game. I believe it's Indiana, Iowa. And Charles B says we will be drafting a quarterback in the top 3. All of these guys, we will all be in agreement on who that quarterback is. I'm calling it now. There's going to be no arguing and no quarterback discourse that leads to toxicity within this fan base. And clearly, I am lying through my teeth, because if we saw anything from 2021, we were all over the map with our quarterbacks that we wanted. Some wanted, I wanted Justin Fields in 2021. Some people wanted Zach Wilson. Some people wanted Trey Lance. So it's going to be interesting if this team keeps not doing its thing and winning the ball games. Like our guy Josh says, Lynn Norris. Yeah, I think right now that would be my line of thinking. Obviously, I know he suffered a concussion. I don't know what he's looked like since the concussion. So it's tough. I haven't done a full watch of Mendoza and Carson Beck, but I'm getting into those quarterbacks. We're definitely going to get down there. I'm waiting till the month of October. So kill me, whatever you got to do. I'm sorry. I don't want to do draft talk in September. I'm listening to draft talk. I consume draft talk because I go to Senior Bowl, so I have to know these guys. But I am not doing draft talk, at least in the long form versions on this channel, until the month of October. So no mock draft Monday or mock draft Tuesday if we lose to the Miami Dolphins, even though I know everybody's going to be doing that. And it's going to be awful to see. All right, Brooklyn Boys again. He says, Dylan, how does South Carolina turn this rapidly sinking ship around? People had them go to the playoffs. Dude, I don't know, man. It's been tough. Beamer's got to do something down there to rally these boys. I admittedly haven't watched enough South Carolina recently. I watched their first 2 games, and then I didn't watch the game that Lynn Norris got hurt. So I don't even know if he's healthy, to be honest. So if he's not playing in the lineup, you got to get him back. But I think he is playing, and I don't know, man. Beamer's got to do a better job, or else it's going to be tough. They're in the SEC, and I'm not going to give them excuses. But if people were projecting them to be a playoff team or a fringe playoff team with the expanded, CFB playoff bracket, it's tough. I think they have enough horses to turn it around. Yeah, Rico the Pup. So I would say, there is a chance that the Jets just aren't in range because of his athletic ability to, vault him up the board. He could be the number 1 pick in the draft when it's all said and done, because he could have a really good pre-draft process, finish out the year really strong. And it's those athletic physical traits that everybody, not everybody, but a lot of teams cling to. If he doesn't, it's Mateer for me. Mateer is another one that I like. If you're an A1 since day one member, you have the John Mateer breakdown as well as the Garrett Nussmeier breakdown on the channel. So John Mateer is good. He has the hand injury that he had surgery on, so he's going to miss some time, which obviously never helps. But I don't know. We'll see. These quarterbacks, there's not a guy that's really sticking out right now. And I think that also plays into the Jets' favor, because regardless of where they're picking, if all these teams are so differing on who their quarterback is, maybe they can sit back and wait and get the third guy off the board, but it's really their quarterback 1 the whole time. And maybe that's pure copium because I want us to find our quarterback via the draft. Yeah, Taylon Green is another one that the chat is mentioning right now. The QB that will shoot up the boards is Taylon Green from Arkansas. That's a good one, Junior Rudy. I have to watch more of his film. I have honestly zero exposure to Taylon Green, not even watching Arkansas live. I feel like there's always a different matchup that I have on TV at the time. So I definitely want to see. But Rico says he's more of a project. Yeah, I think all these guys right now are projects, and that's why we need at least in 9 or 10 game sample size more from some of these guys to really know who they are and what they're going to be at the NFL level. And like I said, it's all about flavor. If a coach or a GM or a scout doesn't prefer certain traits in a guy, they're probably not going to put them on their board, right? I don't think it's not like, from my perspective, every single quarterback is stacked up vertically, and I don't take into account anything that the Jets might actually want as a team. Whereas if I look at Jet-centric quarterbacks and prospects, that list becomes a lot smaller. Obviously not to the point of where the Patriots, where they had, I believe, 25 or 27 guys on their draft board the one year with Belichick. I think that was like 2 years after the COVID year. So your list becomes a little bit more specific when you look team to team. Charles says, how bad is Arch Manning? That the very first pass of Arch Manning's season looked bad from my perspective. He rolled out to his right. He had a guy open at the intermediate level. He short hopped it about 6 yards, and he was wincing on the very first play. I'm not going to assume or speculate entirely that he's injured, but you see a lot of close-ups of his face when he's throwing the ball, and it looks like he's struggling to throw the ball. So, again, I'm not going to blame anybody for putting him out there hurt or blaming him for playing through an injury. I don't know fully what it is, but the Arch Manning tape is mostly unwatchable from my perspective because you're not gleaning anything from the tape. You're honestly just watching a kid out there struggle. A lot of it was his footwork, I believe. He was getting to his drop like a lot faster than he probably should have. He was playing a little happy with his feet. He's got to be a lot more poised, and I think things can turn around. But to me, it just feels like it's a health problem right now. I guess Boy Wonder, it depends on how you look at it, right? Has he really fallen, or is it over analysis? I mean, I don't think he's coming out in this draft, so there's no falling or rising for me, right? It's more just like him putting good film on tape that can translate to the NFL level. And then you think about next year being the year for him to take over, third-year starter in Texas, a lot of sample size of games under his belt, and he can bounce back. So I don't know if it's really like a falling versus over analysis thing, but when your last name is Manning and you play quarterback, you're gonna be talked about. So it's kind of on par for what I thought. Now, if he was lighting it up, that would be a different thing. And we'd probably get over analysis on just how good Arch Manning is. That's just my opinion. So maybe there is an element of over scrutiny towards Arch Manning. Like, he's not trash. So Charles B. Carson Beck, lifetime NFL backup. It's tough. I didn't like a lot of his Georgia film, especially when I went back and watched the Arian Smith all 22 when they drafted Arian. Wasn't a huge fan of Carson Beck. I felt like he left his guys, not out to dry in terms of like hospital balls, but like he just left a lot of throws out on the field that his guys were open for. So I admittedly haven't watched any of his Miami tape because I'm not a fan of Carson Beck, but I will get to it. I have Mendoza and Beck on the list to get to next because I wanted to watch the guys that I like and I prefer first, and Beck was just in that like third tier down. So I've watched about 5 quarterbacks to like speak intelligently enough about or confidently about. So Carson Beck's just not one of them right now. Rico the Pup, AG being a former DB, having so many DBs in the coaching room, Caleb Downs being one of the best safety products in the last 15 years, Dre Bly, our CB coach, being his uncle. Didn't know that. Is he destined for us? I mean, my dream for this team is to discover that Justin Fields is enough of your answer where you don't fall in love with the 2026 quarterback and you go the way of Caleb Downs, TJ Parker. I think is it JT Parker? Yeah. And then there's Peter Woods from Clemson as well on the D-line. I know Clemson's not looking good, but I would love for the conversation to go to a different position. I feel like the Jets have been for as many needs as we've needed in the draft. I feel like this team, when it comes down to it, you can pretty much guess their first 3 picks to the position, right? We know we need a quarterback. We know we need a right tackle. We know we need a tight end. Like, it's pretty obvious where our drafts have gone the last couple years. And I guess, yes, and to Kyle Clifton's point, no safety. It's tough to take a non-premium position with a premium pick. So I certainly understand that thought process. This is also a coaching staff that took Brian Branch and is able to use him. Well, HG was able to use him in his defense. So I'm not ruling it out. I don't think that that's the way I would go. Although he's probably the best prospect, quarterback or non-quarterback right now in the 2026 class. Josh says, Dylan, how can it be that this team hires one of the most experienced DCs in the league and focuses the entire offseason on defense, and it's still the worst part of the team? Yeah, with Malcolm on earlier, we were talking, it's definitely a scheme thing. It's definitely an execution thing. It's a mixture of both, and we need to see both show up for more than 2.5 quarters. I feel like just in spurts, we've seen this defense when it can be good. And on first and second down, you do so well against the Bills. And then on third down, you just let like the dam breaks. And all of a sudden, everybody's like gashing you for explosives. So I was very confident in the defense. I'm not losing entire hope in Wilkes, but I think eventually you have to start mixing up your coverages, disguising things, going from one high pre-snap to a 2 high rotation. And we're starting to see elements of that. And right now, maybe they just don't have the horses on defense. And that's upsetting to have to admit, because I thought the cornerback room was the strongest on the team, and it's been a huge letdown. I thought linebacker at the top level was really good, and now you're missing one of your key starters in Quincy. So it's not over for the defense, but it's definitely very, very disappointing so far through 3 games. Yeah, Rico, this is another part of it too. I was an advocate that draft of getting Sauce and Kyle Hamilton. Kyle Hamilton obviously being the guy at 10 instead of Garrett Wilson. You just want guys that are built in a lab that do things that other people can't do. And I thought his range coming out of college was just incredible. His ability to play free safety, single high, strong safety in the box, almost like a pseudo linebacker. It would definitely have been a pick that I would not have hated. So, but I understand most people don't want non-premium picks with premium assets. So I see it both ways, but in certain draft classes, BPA will lead you to, I guess, non-premium guys sometimes. So Caleb Downs is just different, though. He is such a good player, in my opinion. Let's see. Did I get Dre Day? No, Dre Day. I didn't even see this. I apologize. At almost 25 minutes ago, I missed Dre Day gifting a sub. I appreciate you, Dre Day. You are in the raffle for 5, and Green Gang 365 becomes a member himself. So after Green Gang gifted a bunch. No, I have you in here, Dre Day. I did. Okay. I'm getting my wires crossed. I saw it pop up on my feed, and I thought it was new. All right, we'll hang out for a couple more minutes. I have work tomorrow, so I'm not going to stay on too terribly long, but I did want to come on and celebrate hitting 1,000 subscribers with everybody. I certainly appreciate it. We're well over 50 members of the A1 Since Day One community. Once again, we're doing a raffle tonight. We'll raffle off a couple DT t-shirts. Every $1 super chat equals 1 entry, and every gifted membership equals 5 entries. So if you gifted 5 like Green Gang did earlier, you will get 25 entries, and we will raffle off 2 or 3 at the end of this show. And then I have a wheel made up specifically for my A1 Since Day One members, and we will get you guys at least 2 more shirts. So a total of 5 shirts are going to be given away tonight on the show, or tomorrow morning for the A1 Since Day One members. I will make our own special video for the members only content so that we can keep that flowing and show my appreciation towards you guys. With that, we'll take a couple more questions and then we'll get out of here. I have a lot of comments to your chat there, Charles B. I'm not going to put it up on the screen, but if that was the case, I would probably rebrand the fighter plane into a middle finger or something like that. But you can wear it to support me. Let's see what else we got. Steven says, Caleb Downs reminds me of Earl Thomas or Eric Berry. Those are good names to invoke. I mean, crazy safeties we watched. I mean, at least I don't know how old you are, obviously, Steven, but being a 30-year-old, those were the safeties you watched growing up, obviously, in like the latter, like early adult stages of our lives. But like the safeties I watched growing up, that was like Kerry Rhodes for the Jets, LaRon Landry, obviously Ed Reed, Troy Polamalu. Those were the safeties of yesteryear that are now you're basically your linebackers. Green Gang says that Maryland quarterback is special. I'll have to watch. I don't know who the Maryland quarterback is, to be honest. I know it used to be Talia Tungavaloa, but I believe he's on a practice squad or a UFL roster right now. Oregon Jets in the chat. $2 super chat. Put me in, coach. You are in the raffle. Oregon Jets, I certainly appreciate you and your support. 2 entries for you. Let's see how many entries we have total. Over 50 entries tonight. That's awesome. So thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. We're going to continue doing some kind of giveaways, whether it's DT specific merch or eventually I'll get to the Real Jets merchandise that everybody's been asking me about. I'm trying not to expand too quickly and overpromise and underdeliver. I would much rather slow approach it this season. It's my first in-season of content, so I'm really trying to, think of ideas, sit on the idea for a little bit, and then present it to you guys. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So I appreciate everybody's patience and support, but we're gonna get there. We're gonna be a full show probably by the draft season. We'll be doing giveaways and potentially callers. So stay tuned for all that. Charles says, is anybody picking the Jets? I'm having premonitions of losing to Zach Wilson after Tuna gets concussed. So to the first part of your question, yeah, I believe the NFL Network guys were split 5-5 on Jets versus Dolphins, all very close games. I believe most of those games we were scoring over 20 points, even in the loss. So it is a pretty mixed panel, but that's what happens when it's 2 0-3 teams on prime time. It's basically a pick 'em with the spread right now -2.5 for the Jets, which means they'd be a half-point favorite if it was at MetLife, which would probably get boosted up to maybe 1.5 at MetLife, to be honest. But yeah, people are picking the Jets. I'm not even going to address the second part of your comment because I'm not putting any of that juju in the world. I don't think it's going to happen, and I don't think even if it did happen that it would happen the way that we're scared that it'll happen. Kevin Tattoo says, hello, DT. I appreciate you, Kevin. You became a member of the channel tonight. So I appreciate that. That's awesome. Yeah, Dre Day. That's kind of where I'm at. We're not putting that juju out there. Incel Allen, 2 awful defenses this week. Yeah, and then the Jets follow it up with another awful defense as well with the Dallas Cowboys. Not looking ahead too far, but the Dolphins, Cowboys, and Jets are like the bottom 3 defenses in the league. So Oregon Jets pumping up his guy, Dante Moore, quarterback from Oregon, is going to win the Heisman Trophy, best kept secret in college, beat Oregon quarterback, or best Oregon quarterback since Herbert. Well, that's not that long ago, right? Like how many quarterbacks have they had since Herbert? I mean, yeah, it's probably true that it is Dante Moore, but like it's not Dylan Gabriel. I don't really know who else was in between Herbert and Gabriel, but yeah, that's definitely safe. He's a redshirt sophomore, so he's probably not going to come out in the draft even with a good year. And I don't know what the odds are for Heisman, but I feel like there's a couple guys that can get it. Yeah, Nate, we're doing the raffle soon. Hold your horses. Golly. We're new to these things, Nate. We want to talk. When people are in the chat, we want to talk to them. That's how that works. We talk until my throat hurts. And then we go smoke and make it worse. Let's see. Oh, Bo Nix. Yeah, Bo Nix was the other one. Yeah, see, I would take that. I would take Dante Moore over those 2 guys from what they were in college. Obviously, Bo Nix has kind of turned it around since the NFL. See, that's all I'm striving for, Nate. All I'm striving for is to be an official Jet YouTuber. Much like our boy Jake Asman and Boy Green and Matt O'Leary, Ryan and Green Bean. Buffalo, Ian from Jet Central. We're trying to be like all those guys. We're official. Yeah, we could, yeah, exactly. I see what you're saying. I agree. It's gonna be fun. Giving away 5 t-shirts at the end of the night. If you want to just order your own DT t-shirt, the link is or my email rather is in the description box to this video. Yeah, you're right. I forgot about him, Dre Day. I don't have a full merch store launched up right now, but I'm working on it. So right now, all DT t-shirts are $20 a pop, and I will handle shipping until we get that store up and running. They come in black, light gray, or green. If you watched Jake's show yesterday in the afternoon, Indy Jets called in rocking the only green DT t-shirt that's out there in the world. So green, gray, or black, the logo kind of looks sick on all 3 of them if I'm being completely biased. So I certainly appreciate it. $20 a pop, any size you want, any of the 3 colors. My boy Robin says you are official. I appreciate it. Hey man, you get the logo, you get all the nice little graphics up on the screen, you get a great chat in the mix, and yeah, you become official. I'm so official. All I need is a whistle. Let's see. I got the shirt right here for you, Oregon. Let's see what we got. It is a Gildan dry blend. That sounds like something I would roll up. 50% cotton, 50% polyester. So it might shrink a little bit in the wash. But yeah, it's a Gildan dry blend. It is a very soft shirt. Jake and I were wearing them yesterday on his show. We were twinning for his podcast, and then Indy called in and showed his off. So appreciate everybody had a couple people reach out already about some t-shirts. Oh no, getting an update about some Florida State. Ricky, Florida State losing to Virginia late in the third, 28-21. That's okay. There's time for those Noles to come back. We got to chop. Yeah, Oregon, I was hooked up. Indy Jets, that's why he got one of the free first rounds of t-shirts. He helped me find a guy down here. I want to say it's about an hour away from where I live. So what my plan is for right now is to just drive over when he has them made up, pick them up, and then I ship them out myself. So that's the plan for right now. And then we'll go from there and open up a full store and become even more official on the YouTube streets. But fully monetized now, so we can do super chats, we could do ads. I'm sorry if I ran a bunch of ads on your stuff during this video. I don't know how those work. I don't know if you have to like stop watching to watch an ad. I personally use YouTube Premium, so if there's ever an advertisement for YouTube Premium, this is it. You should get it. It's the easiest $14 I'll ever spend. It's to the point where I go on other people's YouTube accounts and I click a video and I see a ad and I'm like, what the hell is this? I'm like, get this off my screen. So I've become a little bit bougie with my YouTube consumption, but I'm on it so much that I think the premium version's worth it. No, I don't think they're fraudulent. I think they're still a really good team. But yeah, that's tough to be losing to Virginia. Whoa, Nate. Whoa. Careful who you're calling a broke boy. I did just ask you the other day to pay for my ticket to come up to the game, so I really have absolutely no room to talk. But you asked if I was coming to the game, so that'd be the only way is if you bought my ticket, Nate, because my ass is not driving. Yeah, Robin, I agree. They're very well made. I like them a lot. Yeah, Nate, absolutely. YouTube Premium for the win. All right. With that, I think we are at that portion of the show. I'm going to make sure I have all the raffle entries in order, all the names compiled, one last check over. So I will throw the intro video up for you guys one more time. Give me about a minute to put it all together and get it up on the screen, and I'll be right back with you.
We want you to bring that here, all right? Go up there and press them and choke them out. We want you to bring that here, all right? Go up there and press them and choke them out.
All right. We have all the names here comprised. Before I shuffle them, I wanted to give a shout out. Stephen Fox, Junio Rudy, Leany, Robin Boy Wonders, Green Gang with the most entries, Dre Day, and Oregon Jets. 57 total entries. Alan Dodes, I see you in the chat. I'm late, but I'm here. I appreciate you tuning in, brother. We are doing a raffle giveaway for some free DT t-shirts. And then tomorrow morning, I will have the members-only version of the giveaway with extra t-shirts going to the first 50 members of the A1 Since Day One community. So I will shuffle these up a couple times so that there's no allegations of it being rigged. And let's spin the wheel. Good luck to everybody who participated today. We will definitely be doing more of these in the coming weeks. Green Gang, that would be very fitting. He had the most entries, so he gets the very first DT t-shirt giveaway. Shout out to you, Green Gang. We are going to remove all instances of Green Gang. And we're going to spin again. Alan says it's rigged anyway. Of course it's rigged. It's YouTube. Stephen Fox. Shout out to you winning the second DT t-shirt on the night. I appreciate you guys. My email I will put in the chat so you guys can email me. If not, they are in the description to all the videos on my channel. And the last winner of tonight, is it gonna be? It is. It's Leany. Leany, thank you so much. All of your kind words in Tampa Bay. It was great to meet you and Mr. Leany, we will call him. And I'm so glad that I was once again able to get you the parking pass for the game. So shout out to Green Gang 365. Stephen Fox and Leany for all of their contributions. I certainly appreciate it. I will get all of your information and get those shirts sent out as quickly as possible. With that, Jets got a game in a couple days. I'll be back on the feed giving my preview, full preview, how I think this game's going to pan out with an official prediction. Once again, a special shout out to Malcolm Flex for coming on, giving us almost an hour, a little bit more than an hour of his time breaking down the film. If you go back, we broke down the Jets' final drive on defense, that last stand that could have been. So appreciate Malcolm for tuning in and having about an hour of his time to give us. Thank you to every single person in the chat, everybody that gifted, everybody that became a member themselves. Even Alan Dodes, who was a little late, but we appreciate him as well for hopping in last minute. With that, I'll keep you guys posted with more of a schedule. I'm trying to become more schedule-oriented, and now that I'm not going to these games in person, I think it's going to be easier for me to get my rewatch and my film breakdowns out, so live shows can be more anticipated throughout the week, hoping for at least 2 live shows per week, maybe one with a guest, and then one flying solo. Obviously, you can anticipate Mondays with Buffalo Jet Fan. That is going to be a staple. We are alternating his channel, my channel. So this week, upcoming, I don't think we're going to do it Monday because of the game, obviously, but we will do something hopefully Tuesday. If not with Buffalo, I will be live myself on the channel. So smash that like button one more time. I greatly appreciate it. Subscribe if you're new. We are now over the 1,000 mark, so thank you all so much for helping me reach that next tier of monetization. I can't thank you guys enough. All of my A1 Since Day One subscribers at the $5 tier, be on the lookout for a special members only video. I will have a wheel specifically for you guys, and I will do 2 more t-shirt giveaways. So be on the lookout for that. I wanted to do it live, but it's just a little bit of coordinating with the names, and a one-man show, I can't produce it all on the fly. So I will have that for you guys tomorrow. I certainly appreciate it. I'm DT signing off for the night. Let's go Jets.